eyes filled with deep emotion. Zara, the doctor says I don't have much time left. I want to leave all my assets to Zoe. I froze. You're different. You're just someone who took care of me. But Zoe is a dancer. She needs the money to live a decent life. His voice was soft, yet every word cut like a knife. Besides, if it weren't for that act you put on back then, Zoe and I would have been together long ago. You've held me hostage with the debt of saving my life for all these years. Enough, I let go, my heart as cold as ashes. To save him, I gave up my admission letter to the aerospace university. To take care of him, I studied nursing, 10 years of my youth, and all I got in return were accusations of acting and emotional blackmail. In his eyes, signing the property waiver agreement, I whispered softly, "Okay." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the summer of my 18th year, June 7th, 2024, the second day of the college entrance exam, sitting in the exam hall, staring at the physics test paper in front of me. My mind echoed with Jet Wen's last words before he died, "If it weren't for you deliberately putting on that act back then, acting." I let out a cold laugh and wrote swiftly, "At this time in my previous life, I was anxiously waiting in the hospital corridor for the results of Jet Wen's surgery. In order to rush to save him, I missed 2 exams in the afternoon." A mock score of 689 points ended up being just over 400 points. In this life, I will take back everything I lost. After the exam ended, I went straight home, ignoring the constant message notifications on my phone. "Zara, where are you? Jet Wen was in a car accident. Come to the hospital quickly. He's badly injured." The doctor said if he had been brought in an hour later, he might not have made it. I turned off my phone and calmly continued eating dinner. Mom Lin Shuya put down her chopsticks and looked at me with concern. "Zara, do you know about Uncle Wen's family situation?" "I know. I picked up a piece of braised pork. What does it have to do with me?" "But, Mom," I looked up at her. "Jet Wen was driving to chase after Zoe Su. The car accident was his own fault. Why should I go?" Lin Shuya was taken aback, as if hearing her daughter speak so calmly for the first time. "You grew up together since childhood. So I have to pay for his foolishness." I put down my chopsticks. "Mom, I'm 18. I have my own judgment." Dad Lin Jiongwo pushed the door open at that moment, his expression grave. "Zara, Uncle Wen asked me to see if you could go check on Jet Wen. He's been calling your name." I shook my head faintly. "I have an exam tomorrow." "But, Dad," I stood up. "In my past life, I missed out on life because of him. In this life, I won't make the same mistake again." Lin Jiongwo looked at his wife in confusion. "What is she talking about?" Lin Shuya shook her head to indicate she didn't know. I returned to my room, took out the review materials for aerospace engineering, and started previewing my university courses. This time, I'm going to walk my own path. My phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar number. "Hello, is this Zara Lin? I'm a nurse from the City People's Hospital. Jet Wen has been calling your name repeatedly, and his condition isn't looking good." I hung up directly, then blocked this number. The summer evening breeze blew in through the window, carrying a faint floral fragrance. I looked at the physics reference book on the table, a faint smile curling at the corner of my mouth. In this life, I, Zara Lin, live only for myself. The next day was the final day of the college entrance exam. I walked into the exam hall full of energy, completely free from the restlessness I had felt in my previous life. Halfway through the chemistry exam, the sound of an ambulance suddenly came from outside. Some students got distracted, but I remained focused on answering the questions. After the exam, the proctor smiled and said to us, "Class, the college entrance exam is over." The classroom erupted in cheers. With everyone hugging each other and taking photos to commemorate the moment, I packed up my stationery and got ready to leave. "Zara," footsteps hurried behind me, and I turned to see our class monitor, Zhong Yue. "Why haven't you been reachable these past 2 days? Do you know about Jet Wen?" "I know." Zhong Yue paused for a moment. "Then why aren't you going to the hospital? I heard he's badly injured and has been calling your name." I glanced at her indifferently. "Why should I go?" "But you, what about us?" I interrupted her. "He crashed his car into a tree chasing after Zoe Su. What does that have to do with me?" Zhong Yue's mouth fell open. "Zara, how can you be so cold-hearted? You grew up together. and now he's like this, so I should just give up my own life to take care of him. I sneered. Zhongyue, if you feel sorry for him, you go take care of him. After saying that, I turned and walked away, leaving Zhongyue stunned. Walking out of the school, I took a deep breath. The feeling of freedom is wonderful. When I got home, my parents were already waiting for me in the living room. Zara, how did the exam go? Lin Shuya asked with concern. Not bad. I should be able to get into Beihang University. Lin Zhonghuo's eyes lit up. Really? I nodded, silently adding in my heart, in my previous life, my mock exam scores were already enough for Beihang's admission line, and this time it will only be better. By the way, Lin Shuya suddenly remembered something. Uncle Wen called and said Jet's condition has stabilized a bit. But what? The doctor said his spine is severely damaged, and he might be paralyzed. Lin Shuya's voice choked up a little. Uncle Wen asked if you'd be willing to visit him. I said expressionlessly, no, Zara. Lin Zhonghuo frowned. After all, you two grew up together. Now that he's like this, it was his own choice, I said coldly, driving without a license, speeding. All for a woman who never loved him. This is the consequence. But Jet always considered you the most important person. Then why did he chase after Zoe Su? I retorted. If I really meant that much to him, would he have ruined himself for another woman? Lin Zhonghuo and Lin Shuya exchanged a glance, but neither had anything to say, because I'm right, if Jet Wen really cared about me, he wouldn't have done something so dangerous for Zoe Su at such a critical moment like the college entrance exam. I'm tired, I'm going back to my room to rest. I turned and went upstairs, hearing my parents' quiet discussion behind me. Zara seems to have changed. Maybe she's grown up and finally figured some things out. Yes, I've figured it out. The Zara Lin from the previous life, who was crazy in love and would give up everything for a man, is dead. Now, I live only for myself. The next few days were very calm. I review my university courses at home every day and occasionally go out to gatherings with high school classmates. Jet Wen's matter was widely discussed among the classmates, but no one dared to bring it up in front of me. Probably Zhongyue told others about my attitude. On the fifth night, Uncle Wen Jianhua came to my house. He looked much more haggard, with a few strands of his hair having turned white. Zara, I'm begging you to go see Jet, he said with red eyes. He's in a very bad state right now and has been refusing to cooperate with the treatment. I sat on the sofa, looking at him calmly. Uncle Wen, with all due respect, Jet Wen's current situation is his own doing. But he drove without a license to chase after Zoe Su and ended up severely injuring himself. That was his choice, I said coldly. I have no obligation to take responsibility for his decisions. When Jianhua was stunned, seemingly not expecting the well-behaved and obedient Zara Lin to say such things. Zara, how can you say that? Jet has always what? Always liked me, I sneered. If he really liked me, he wouldn't have chased after someone in his car for Zoe Su on the day of the college entrance exam. He was just acting on impulse. The consequence of acting on impulse is paralysis. That's the reality. I stood up. Uncle Wen, I sympathize with your situation, but I won't ruin my own life out of sympathy. When Jianhua's face turned pale and his body swayed unsteadily, Lin Zhonghuo quickly supported him. Old Wen, don't get too worked up, Zhonghuo. When Jianhua grabbed Lin Zhonghuo's hand, please persuade Zara. Jet really can't do without her. The doctor said he's showing severe signs of depression, and if this continues, I understand, I'll have a good talk with Zara. After when Jianhua left, both Lin Zhonghuo and Lin Shuya looked at me. Zara, have you really made up your mind? Lin Zhonghuo asked. Yes, I nodded. Mom, Dad, I know you have soft hearts, but I won't compromise on this matter, Lin Shuya sighed. But seeing old Wen like that, it doesn't sit well with me either. Mom, if I give up my studies and my dreams to take care of Jet Wen, will you take responsibility for my regrets in the future? Lin Shuyu fell silent. I want to apply to Beihang University, study aerospace engineering, and contribute to the nation's aerospace industry, I said earnestly. This is my dream, and I won't give it up for anyone. Lin Zhonghuo nodded. Good, your father supports you. Lin Shuyu also nodded. Your mother supports you too. My heart felt a warm glow. In my previous life, My parents also supported my choices in the same way. It's just a pity that I was blinded by love at the time and let them down. In this life, I won't disappoint them again. Late at night, my phone rang again. It was Zoe Sue calling. Zara, can you come to the hospital? Jet's condition is not good. Her voice sounded urgent, but I detected a hint of insincerity. In my previous life, I was deceived by her hypocritical kindness, thinking she genuinely cared about Jet when it was only later that I realized she was just acting. I'm not going, I refused outright. Zara, I know you have issues with Jet, but right now, Zoe Sue, I interrupted her. The reason Jet got into a car accident was because you broke up with him on the day of the college entrance exam, making him impulsively chase after you in his car, wasn't it? There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Zara, how can you say that? I never expected something like this to happen. Really, then why don't you get back together with him now, since you care so much about him? Why not take care of him yourself? Zoe Sue stammered. Stop pretending, Zoe Sue. You don't love him at all. You just want someone to take on the responsibility of caring for him, I said coldly and hung up the phone directly. Then I blocked Zoe Sue's number as well. The world is truly peaceful now. A week later, the college entrance exam results were released. I scored 697 points. That's even higher than my mock exam score from my previous life. Lin Jiongwo and Lin Shuya were so moved that tears streamed down their faces. Zara, you're amazing. Lin Shuya hugged me tightly. Beihang is a sure thing now. I was also excited, but more than that, I felt a sense of relief. That regret from my past life can finally be made up for. We have to celebrate, Lin Jiongwo said excitedly. Let's go to the best hotel for dinner tonight. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Lin Jiongwo went to open the door and came back with a complicated expression. It's Uncle Wen. He wants to see you. I frowned but still walked toward the door. When Jianhua saw me, a complex emotion flickering in his eyes. Zara, I heard you scored 697. Yeah, congratulations. His voice was bitter. Jet would be so happy for you if he knew. I didn't respond. Zara, I'm begging you one last time. Go see Jet. When Jianhua's voice choked up, the doctor says his willpower is collapsing. If this continues, Uncle Wen, I interrupted him, has Jet Wen's college entrance exam score come out? When Jianhua paused for a moment, yes, it's out. 568 points. What university does he want to attend? He originally wanted to go to a medical university, but with this score. When Jianhua smiled bitterly, and given his current physical condition, it's impossible for him to study medicine anyway. That is to say, his life plan was completely ruined by himself. When Jianhua remained silent, Uncle Wen, I am not responsible for his life plan, I said coldly. He chose to take risks for Zoe Sue, and now he must face the consequences. But Zara, if you truly care about your son, you should let him learn to take responsibility instead of expecting others to clean up his mess. After saying that, I turned and went back inside, leaving Wen Jianhua standing alone at the door. Although I felt a bit sorry for him, I knew I couldn't be soft-hearted. In my previous life, it was because I was too soft-hearted that I ruined my own life. In this life, I will never repeat the same mistake. In the evening, the three of us went to the best hotel to celebrate. During the meal, Lin Jiongwo received a phone call and returned with a grim expression. What's wrong? Lin Shuya asked. Jet Wen committed suicide. My chopstick movement paused for a moment, then I continued eating as if nothing had happened. What? Lin Shuya exclaimed. How could this happen? He fell from the wheelchair and hit his head on the metal guardrail by the bed. He's still in the emergency room now, Lin Jiongwo sighed. Uncle Wen asked me to see if Zara is willing to go to the hospital. I put down my chopsticks and wiped my mouth. Not going, Zara, Dad, Mom, I said seriously, looking at them. Jet Wen's life or death has nothing to do with me. Whether he lives or dies is his own choice. I won't change my decision just because of his threats. Lin Jiongwo and Lin Shuya exchanged a glance and finally nodded. Okay, we support your decision. I smiled, feeling warmth in my heart. I am very fortunate to have such parents. When I got home, I turned on my computer and started looking at the course offerings for the aerospace engineering program at Beihang University. Starting next September, I will be moving forward toward my dream. As for Jet Wen, let him do as he pleases. I am no longer the Zara Lin who would give up everything to save him. My phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I didn't answer it. Soon, the text message arrived. Zara, this is Zoe Su. Jet is in critical condition. And the doctor says he might not make it through the night. He keeps calling your name. Please, come see him. After reading the message, I let out a cold laugh. Then, I deleted the message. Zoe Su, do you still think I'm that foolish girl from my past life? The next morning, I was woken up by a knock on the door. When I went downstairs, I saw Wen Jianhua, his wife Xu Ya, and Zoe Su standing at the door. Mrs. Wen's eyes were red and swollen, clearly from crying all night. Zara, please, save Jet. She cried as soon as she saw me. The doctor said he's having severe suicidal thoughts. Only you can talk him out of it. Zoe Su also put on a concerned look and said, Zara, I know I've wronged Jet, but we're all so worried about him now. I looked at them coldly. If you're so worried, why aren't you taking care of him? Why come to me? Because he only listens to you, Mrs. Wen said urgently. Since he was little, you're the only one who could calm him down. That was before. I said indifferently, now, I have no obligation to be responsible for his emotions. Zoe Su suddenly stepped forward. Zara, I know you hate me. It's all my fault. I hurt Jet, but you can't just watch him die. I sneered. Zoe Su, stop putting on an act here. If you really feel sorry for him, get back together with him and take care of him yourself. Zoe Su's expression changed. I didn't mean it like that. So what do you mean? That I should drop out of school to take care of him? While you continue living your carefree life. Zoe Su, having been called out, turned pale. When Jianhua then spoke up, Zara, I'm begging you, we can give you money, a lot of money, as long as you're willing to take care of Jet. Uncle Wen, I interrupted him, I don't need money, what I need is my own life. But Jet, what about him? He risked his life for Zoe Su, and now he wants to die for Zoe Su. It's all his own choice. My voice rose. Why should I pay for his foolishness, Mrs. Wen suddenly knelt down. Zara, I beg you, Jet is our only son. If he dies, we won't be able to go on living either. Watching Mrs. Wen kneeling on the ground, a flicker of hesitation crossed my heart. But soon, I remembered the words Jet Wen had said before his death in my previous life. You were just someone who took care of me. You've held me hostage with the debt of saving my life for so many years. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them again, I had regained my composure. Aunt Wen, please get up. My voice was calm. I understand how you feel, but I won't change my decision. Mrs. Wen looked at me in disbelief. Zara, how could you be so heartless? Heartless? I sneered. Did Jet Wen consider my feelings when he chased someone in his car for Zoe Su on the day of the college entrance exam? Did he consider your feelings? Mrs. Wen was left speechless. Did he think about the consequences when he made his choice? Is it fair to expect others to bear the responsibility now that something has happened? Zoe Su suddenly said at this moment, Zara, I know you hate me, but Jet is innocent. Innocent. I turned to look at her, my eyes full of sarcasm. Zoe Su, stop playing the saint here. If you really think Jet Wen is innocent, marry him and take care of him for the rest of your life. Zoe Su's face turned pale. I still have to go to college. Don't I have to go to college too? I asked coldly. Why do you get to have your own life, while I have to sacrifice myself to take care of a man who ruined himself for you? Zoe Su was left speechless by the question. Yeah, why should I? Why should I pay for their love? Why should I use my youth to fill in their gaps? Zara, when Jianhua made one last effort. If you are willing to take care of Jet, we are willing to give you all our family property. I shook my head. Uncle Wen, I don't want the money, I just want to live the life I desire. After saying that, I turned and went back into the house. Behind me, I could hear Mrs. Wen's crying and Wen Jianhua's sigh. I know they'll think I'm cold-blooded and heartless, but I don't care. The kind to the point of stupidity Zara Lin from my past life is dead. Now, I live only for myself. A month later, I received the admission letter from Beihang University, aerospace engineering major. Holding that red admission letter, I was so excited I almost cried. This is the university and major I've always dreamed of, and it was a regret I missed in my past life. Zara. Lin Shuya jumped up excitedly. Beihang University, it really is Beihang University. Lin Zhongwo was also grinning from ear to ear. My daughter is going to college in Beijing. And it's for aerospace studies. The three of us hugged each other, as happy as children. Just then, the phone rang. It was my homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang, calling. Zara. Congratulations on getting into Beihang University. Teacher Wang's voice was excited. You are the top performing student from our school this year. Thank you, Teacher Wang. By the way, Teacher Wang's tone became hesitant. Do you know about Jet Wen's situation? My smile faded. I don't know, and I don't want to know. Zara, I know there are some misunderstandings between you, but Jet Wen really needs the company of friends right now. Ms. Wang, I interrupted her. Jet Wen's current situation is of his own making. He has the right to choose his own path in life, and I have the right to choose mine. Ms. Wang was silent for a moment. Alright, I understand. I hope you enjoy your time at Beihang University. After hanging up the phone, I continued discussing my plans to go to Beijing with my parents, but it wasn't long before someone knocked on the door again. This time, it was my high school classmates Zhong Yuwei and Li Xiaoyu. Zara. Congratulations on getting into Beihang University, Zhong Yuwei said with a smile, though it seemed a bit forced. Thank you, I replied politely. Li Xiaoyu hesitated for a moment before speaking up. Zara, would like to talk to you about Jet Wen. I frowned. What's wrong with him? He's not doing well. Zhong Yuwei said cautiously. I heard he's been refusing treatment and won't see anyone. The doctors say he has severe depression. And then, I asked coldly, you want me to go see him? The two girls exchanged glances and both nodded. Zara, we know Jet Wen has wronged you, but after all, you two have been friends since childhood. Li Xiaoyu tried to persuade me. Friends, I sneered. Would a true friend ruin themselves for another woman at such a critical moment like the college entrance exams? But it's his own choice. Whatever he is now, I said without mercy, I'm not a savior, and I have no obligation to save everyone who makes the wrong choice. Zhong Yuwei was somewhat angry. Zara, how did you become so cold-blooded? You weren't like this before. The old me was too foolish, I said calmly. Now I just want to live for myself. But Jet Wen is really pitiful. Pitiful, I interrupted Li Xiaoyu. What about Zoe Su? Why didn't she take care of him? Isn't she his girlfriend? The two girls fell silent again. Because Zoe Su had long since disappeared without a trace, it said she went to college in another city and never contacted Jet Wen again. Look, even Zoe Su isn't willing to take responsibility, so why should I continued. I don't owe him anything. But back then, what about back then? Just because I liked him, I should sacrifice everything for him. I looked at them coldly. What kind of logic is that? Zhong Yuwei and Li Xiaoyu were both left speechless by my words. Zara, we just hope you can go see him, not that you have to take care of him for the rest of your life. Zhong Yuwei made one last attempt. No, I firmly refused. I don't want to see him, and I don't want to have anything to do with him. The two girls left disappointed. I knew that from now on, my image in the eyes of my classmates would become very poor, but I didn't care. I would rather be called cold-blooded and heartless than repeat the mistakes of my past life. By the end of August, I was getting ready to go to school in Beijing. These days, I've been living a fulfilling life. Every day, I read, exercise, and study English to prepare for university life. I never paid attention to Jet Wen's affairs again. Occasionally, when my parents mentioned it, I just treated it as news that had nothing to do with me. It is said that his condition fluctuates, sometimes cooperating with treatment, and at other times wanting to commit suicide. The Wen family almost went bankrupt taking care of him. But all of this has nothing to do with me. On the evening before I left, I was packing my luggage when the doorbell suddenly rang. Lin Zhongwo went to open the door and soon returned with a somewhat complicated expression. Zara, Jet Wen is here. I was taken aback. He's here. Yeah, he came in a wheelchair. Lin Zhongwo looked at me. Will you see him? I hesitated for a few seconds, then finally nodded. It's good to meet. Let's make things clear. I went downstairs to the living room and saw Jet when sitting in a wheelchair. He had lost a lot of weight compared to over a month ago, his face pale and his eyes dull. When he saw me, a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. But it quickly faded away. Zara, his voice was hoarse, congratulations on getting into Beihang University. Thank you. I sat down on the sofa opposite him. Maintaining a safe distance, we fell silent for a moment. Zara, I'm sorry, Jet Wen suddenly spoke, his voice filled with deep regret. I know I did many things wrong. I shouldn't have chosen Zoe on the day of the college entrance exam. Jet Wen, I interrupted him, you don't need to apologize to me. You have the right to choose your own life, just as I have the right to choose mine. He let out a bitter laugh. I know you hate me. I don't hate you, I said calmly. Hatred requires emotion, and I have no feelings left for you. Jet Wen's face instantly turned even paler. Zara, what, you want me to stay and take care of you? I looked at him coldly. Jet Wen, I'm not your nanny, nor your savior. I didn't mean it that way. Then why did you come to me? I stood up. If you just wanted to see me, you've seen me. If you wanted me to forgive you, I already have. Jet Wen's eyes reddened. Zara, I know I wronged you, but I truly regret it. What's the use of regret? I sneered. What do you regret? Regretting falling in love with Zoe Su, or regretting not choosing me? Jet Wen opened his mouth but couldn't speak. Jet Wen, listen carefully. I walked up to him, looking down at him from above. In this lifetime, we won't have any more intersections. Whether you live well or wish to die, it has nothing to do with me. Zara, tomorrow I'm going to Beijing, and from now on, we are strangers. My voice was cold. I hope you understand that. After saying that, I turned around to go upstairs. Zara, Jet Wen suddenly called my name loudly. If time could be reversed, I would never choose Zoe. I would choose you. I paused and turned back to look at him. If time could be reversed, I sneered. Jet Wen, time won't reverse. But even if it did, I wouldn't choose you again. Jet Wen stood there as if struck by lightning. Because I've seen clearly now, you're simply not worth it. After saying this, I went upstairs without looking back. Behind me came the sound of Jet Wen's suppressed sobs, but I did not turn around. I've shed enough tears in my last life. In this one, it's his turn to cry. The next day, my parents took me to the airport. In the departure lounge, we talked about the arrangements for college life. Zara, take good care of yourself when you get to Beijing, Lin Shuya said with reluctance. Call home if you miss us. Yes, I know, I nodded, feeling warmth in my heart. Also, Lin Zhongwo reminded, studying is important, but you should also take care of your health. Don't overwork yourself. Dad, I'll be careful. At that moment, the announcement in the waiting hall sounded. Flight CA 1234 to Beijing is now boarding. I stood up and hugged my parents. Mom, Dad, I'm leaving. Go ahead, study hard. I dragged my luggage toward the boarding gate, feeling excited and thrilled. A new life is about to begin. After the plane took off, I looked at the clouds outside the window, feeling more relaxed than ever before. No more entanglement with Jet Wen, no more moral coercion, no more meaningless sacrifices. I can finally live for myself. Upon arriving in Beijing, I smoothly completed the enrollment procedures and moved into the dormitory. My roommates are 3 girls from different cities, and they are all very friendly. Zara Lin, what a poetic name. A girl named Zhao Xinran said with a smile. Thank you, I smiled too. Another girl named Wang Xiu asked, where are you from? From Jiangnan City. The third girl, Li Jiayin, asked curiously, how did you choose aerospace engineering? There are very few girls in this major. Because I like it, I replied simply. I've dreamed of being part of the country's aerospace industry since I was a child. Wow, that's amazing. All 3 girls were impressed. We quickly became familiar with each other. Going to the cafeteria together for meals and strolling around the campus. The campus of Beihang University is beautiful, with a strong technological atmosphere felt everywhere. Looking at those aerospace exhibition pieces, my heart was filled with longing. This is the life I want. Lying in bed in the dorm at night, I picked up my phone to let my parents know I was safe. Mom and Dad, I've arrived at school. Everything is fine. That's good. Make sure to study hard. After hanging up, I looked at the ceiling, feeling calm and content. At that moment, the phone suddenly rang. It's an unfamiliar number. I hesitated but answered anyway. "Hello, Zara, it's me, Jade Wen." A familiar voice came through the phone. I frowned. "How did you get my number? I begged your aunt and uncle for it." Jade Wen's voice was very weak. "Zara, I want to talk to you for a few minutes." "There's nothing more to say." I was about to hang up. "Zara, wait," Jade Wen said urgently. "I just want to tell you, I really regret it. If I could do it over, I would never choose Zoe." "Jade Wen," I interrupted him coldly, "you've already said these words yesterday, and there are no ifs, Zara. I know I don't deserve the excellence you've achieved now, but I'm willing to wait for you." "Wait for me?" I sneered. "Jade Wen, get this straight. I have no feelings for you anymore. You could wait 10,000 years and it wouldn't make a difference, Zara, and don't call me again. I don't want to hear your voice." With that, I hung up the phone and blocked the number. My roommates all looked at me with concern in their eyes. "Zara, what's wrong? An ex-boyfriend?" Zhao Xinran asked cautiously. I shook my head. "Not really, just someone who doesn't know how to let go. You should be careful. People like that sometimes do extreme things." Wang Xiu warned. "Yeah, I know. But deep down, I'm very clear that Jade Wen wouldn't do anything extreme. Right now, he doesn't even have the courage to commit suicide, let alone harm others. Besides, we're thousands of miles apart, so even if he wanted to pester me, he couldn't reach me. I am finally completely free. College life is even more fulfilling and exciting than I imagined. The courses in the aerospace engineering program are quite challenging, but I am enjoying learning them. Immersing myself in the ocean of knowledge every day, I feel myself getting closer and closer to my dreams." I also joined the school's model aircraft club, where I work with like-minded classmates to build various types of aircraft. "Zara, your design is really impressive," the club president praised. "Would you be interested in participating in the National College Student Aerospace Model Championship?" "Of course, I'm interested." My eyes lit up. Life has been so fulfilling that I almost forgot about Jade Wen's existence. It wasn't until a month later that Mom called. "Zara, I have something to tell you." Lin Shuya's tone was somewhat heavy. "What is it?" "Jade Wen, he passed away." My hand holding the phone paused for a moment. And my emotions were complicated. How did he pass away? Uncle Wen said it was due to an infection from complications, and the rescue efforts were ineffective. Lin Shuya sighed. "He was still so young when he left. It's truly a pity." I was silent for a moment. How are his parents holding up? They're very heartbroken. After all, he was their only son. But they also said that perhaps this was a release for Jade. I responded softly. "Zara, are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom." My voice was calm. Death is like a lamp going out. I hope he makes better choices in his next life. After hanging up, my roommates all looked at me. "What's wrong? What happened?" Zhao Xinran asked with concern. "An acquaintance passed away." "I'm sorry," Li Jiayin said softly. I shook my head. "It's okay, we had already lost contact anyway." That's what I said, but I still couldn't sleep that night. Not because I was sad, but because of an indescribable mix of emotions. Jade Wen died. The man who had entangled with me for 10 years in my past life, who in the end called me a nanny and accused me of using a life-saving favor to bind him, just died like that. Should I be happy, or should I be sad? Actually, I don't want to feel anything. His life and death have nothing to do with me anyway. Just as someone who once knew him, hearing the news of his death brings a few sighs of emotion. The next day, I attended classes as usual, participated in club activities, and discussed academic questions with classmates. Jade Wen's death did not affect the rhythm of my life. This is probably what it feels like to completely let go. A week later, I received a call from Teacher Wang. "Zara, Jade Wen's funeral is next week. Will you come back to attend?" "No, I have classes to attend." "Zara," Teacher Wang seemed to want to say something, but in the end, she let it go. "All right, I understand. I do have classes to attend, but even if I didn't, I wouldn't go back for Jade Wen's funeral. The dead are gone, and the living must carry on. I have my own life to live." A few days later, Zoe Su suddenly sent me a WeChat message. Her profile picture is still that carefully edited selfie, looking glamorous and polished. "Zara, I heard that Jade Wen passed away. Are you okay? I looked at this message and let out a cold laugh. Is she only now remembering to show concern? When she abandoned Jet when back then, did she ever think this day would come? I didn't reply to her message and just deleted her directly. These people, each one wants to play the saint, but not a single one is willing to take responsibility. They all want me to be the fool who sacrifices myself to save others. Fortunately, I am no longer the Zara Lin from my previous life. Now, I live only for my own dreams. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it's already the second semester of my freshman year. My grades are ranked first in my major. And I have also received the national scholarship. More importantly, the model airplane competition I participated in won the national first prize. Student Zara Lin, my mentor, found me. I have a great opportunity to recommend to you. What opportunity? It's an internship program at the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, specifically for outstanding undergraduates. My mentor's eyes were full of pride. Given your performance, you have a very good chance of being selected. My heart raced with excitement. Really, of course it's true, this internship program is an opportunity that many students dream of. I immediately submitted my application materials. A week later, I received an interview notice. On the day of the interview, I walked into the interview room wearing formal attire and feeling energetic. The interviewers were several senior aerospace experts who asked me many professional questions. Student Lin, why did you choose the aerospace engineering major? Because it has been my dream since childhood, I answered earnestly. I hope to contribute my efforts to the nation's aerospace industry. What do you think is your greatest strength? I have strong learning and practical abilities, and I have a deep interest and lasting passion for aerospace technology. The interview went very smoothly, and the experts were very satisfied with my answers. 3 days later, I received the admission notice. I was selected. Zara, that's amazing. My roommates were all happy for me. You're the pride of our dorm. I excitedly called my parents to share the good news. Mom, Dad, I got accepted into the internship program at the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. Really? Lin Zhongwo's voice trembled. Zara, you're incredible. Lin Shuya cried on the phone. My daughter is truly outstanding. I'm so proud of you. That night, I stood on the balcony of my dormitory, gazing at the star-filled sky. The Zara Lin who once gave up her dreams for a man no longer exists. Now, I am moving step by step toward my own goals. I remembered what Jet Wen said before his death in my previous life. You're just a nanny, she's a dancer. Now I want to tell him, Jet Wen, you were wrong, I'm not a nanny. I'm an aerospace engineer. I have my own value, my own dreams, and my own life. And you are now in the past. A little over a month later, I officially started my internship at the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation. On the first day I walked into the office building, my excitement was beyond words. This is the core of China's aerospace technology, a place where countless aerospace professionals realize their dreams, and I, at last, have become one of them. Welcome to our team, Zara Lin. The project leader warmly greeted me. Thank you, I will study hard and live up to everyone's expectations. The internship work has been very fulfilling, and I learn new knowledge and skills every day. I participated in the development of several important projects. Although I only handled some basic tasks, I found it very meaningful. The 3-month internship ended quickly, but I received very high praise. Zara Lin is one of the most outstanding interns I have ever seen. The project leader wrote on my evaluation form, she has a solid professional foundation, a strong passion for learning, and excellent practical skills. We look forward to her officially joining our team after graduation. Reading this evaluation, I was so moved I almost cried. This is the life I want. This is the dream I strive for. After returning to school, I studied even harder. In my sophomore, junior, and senior years, I consistently ranked first in my major. I also published several academic papers and received various scholarships and honors. Finally, it was time to graduate in my senior year. I was admitted to Tsinghua University for graduate studies without any suspense, majoring in aerospace engineering. On the day of the graduation ceremony, my parents made a special trip from Jiangnan City to attend, watching me on stage, full of confidence and spirit. Their eyes were filled with pride and contentment. "Zara, you did it," Lin Jiongwo said excitedly. "You really did it." Lin Shuya wiped her tears. "My daughter has truly become an aerospace engineer. Yes, I made it. I didn't sacrifice my dreams for anyone. I didn't become anyone's nanny. I am who I am, Zara Lin, a girl striving hard for her dreams. If that Jet Wen, who humiliated me by the sickbed back then, knew about it in the afterlife, I wonder what he would think, but none of that matters anymore. What matters is that I have finally become the person I wanted to be. Graduate studies are more in-depth and specialized. I chose the satellite technology direction, and my supervisor is Professor Chen, a top domestic satellite expert. Zara Lin, your undergraduate grades are outstanding, Professor Chen said during our first meeting. I have high expectations for you. Thank you, Professor Chen. I will work hard. The intensity of the graduate courses is very high, but I don't feel tired at all. Immersed in the ocean of satellite technology every day, I feel an unprecedented sense of fulfillment and happiness. At the same time, I continue to maintain contact with the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation and often participate in some of their research projects. Xiao Lin, your research report is very well written, praised Engineer Zhong from the corporation, with clear ideas and detailed data. Thank you, Mr. Zhong. I still have a lot to learn. You're being too modest. Outstanding young people like you are exactly what our aerospace industry needs. Hearing such words warmed my heart. This is what it feels like to be recognized, not because I sacrificed anything, not because I took care of anyone, but because of my own abilities and hard work. During my second year of graduate school, I participated in a major satellite development project. This was a satellite designed for deep space exploration. With very high technical difficulty, I was responsible for the design of the satellite communication system. Zara Lin, how is the design of this plan coming along? The project leader asked me. It's mostly completed, but there are still a few technical challenges that need to be overcome. What specific issues are you facing? I explained the technical difficulties I encountered in detail, and the other members of the project team listened attentively. This is indeed a challenging point, a senior engineer nodded, but your line of thinking is correct. Keep delving deeper. I worked day and night, consulting a vast amount of literature and conducting countless simulation experiments. Finally, late one night, I found the solution. Success! I shouted excitedly at the computer screen. My roommates in the dorm were all woken up by me, but seeing how excited I was, they also became happy. Zara, did you solve another technical problem? A junior asked with a smile. Yes, this time it was really tough. The next day, I submitted the plan to the project team. After careful review, the experts unanimously agreed that this plan is outstanding. Zara Lin, your plan has solved our major problem, the project leader said happily. This is of great significance to the progress of the entire project. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented sense of achievement. This is the feeling of realizing self-worth, not relying on anyone, but creating value through one's own abilities. In my third year of graduate school, I began writing my thesis. My research topic is research on key technologies of the new generation deep space exploration satellite communication system. This topic is very challenging, but I am confident I can do it well. After a year of in-depth research, I have finally completed my thesis. On the day of the defense, the experts on the defense committee gave high praise to my research results. Zara Lin's research work has significant theoretical and practical value, said the chair of the defense committee. The quality of her thesis has reached an excellent level. I successfully passed the defense and obtained my master's degree. More importantly, my research findings have been adopted by the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation and will be applied to the upcoming deep space exploration satellite. At the graduation ceremony, Professor Chen patted me on the shoulder and said, "Zara, you are one of my most outstanding students. I believe you will achieve even greater things in the aerospace field. Thank you for your guidance, Professor Chen. You've already received a formal job offer from the Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, right?" "Yes, I will be working at the Satellite Technology Department at the headquarters." "That's great. That's the best place for you to utilize your talents. When I left the school, I took one last look at the beautiful campus. This is where my dreams took flight and a significant turning point in my life. Thank you to everyone who has helped me over the years, and thank myself for my persistence and hard work. Now, I am about to embark on a new journey in life. I want to become a true aerospace engineer and contribute my efforts to the nation's aerospace industry. This is the life I want, and this is the dream I am striving for, and those who once tried to kidnap me and use me are all in the past. I am Zara Lynn. I live for myself, and I fight for my dreams. The end. That concludes the first story. Stay tuned. The next one is even more exciting. In 1979, at the age of 18, I lost both my parents and traveled north alone to seek refuge with my fiancé, Gu Sinan, in the courtyard. Gu Sinan, dressed in his military uniform, looked at me in my rustic attire. Turning to the white moonlight, he said, "This is the little nanny my parents hired from our hometown, in my past life." I took out the engagement token and exposed Gu Sinan's lie on the spot. The white moonlight left in shame and anger, only to marry Gu Sinan's arch-rival, but was tortured to death by him. Gu Sinan married me and tormented me for a lifetime. I was pregnant 7 times and miscarried 7 times, until the doctor declared that I had lost my ability to bear children forever. Gu Sinan then grabbed me by the neck, sneering coldly, saying that I had killed his beloved and was unworthy of bearing his child. Upon learning the truth, I desperately plunged a scalpel into Gu Sinan's body and jumped from the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, I heard Gu Sinan say to his beloved, "This is the little nanny my parents hired from our hometown." I suppressed the bitterness in my heart and nodded in admission. Yes, I am the nanny hired by the Gu family. Gu Sinan, in this lifetime, we are through for good. I found out that Gu Sinan had mistaken me for the little nanny hired by the family. General Gu slapped his son hard across the face. "Nonsense. Go out and clarify immediately. Suyi is your betrothed fiancé. How could you say she's just a nanny hired by the family? How can I face Suyi's parents if you act like this?" Back when Commander Gu and his wife were sent to the farm for re-education, they nearly starved to death. It was my parents who secretly brought them food for 3 years, which kept the couple alive. After their rehabilitation, despite my parents' refusals, Commander Gu insisted on arranging an engagement between me and Gu Sinan. Later, Commander Gu and Aunt Yuan returned to the city, and the connection between our two families gradually faded. In my previous life, I was determined to fulfill my parents' dying wish and marry Gu Sinan. But Gu Sinan did not love me. To avoid me, he even volunteered to be transferred to the remote southwest. Returning home only 3 times in 10 years, Aunt Yuan, who could not see her son for so long, resented me for driving away her only child. The look in Commander Gu's eyes gradually turned to disappointment. Shamelessly, I applied to the army to follow the troops. To avoid me, Gu Sinan volunteered for the front lines, where he faced life-threatening danger and barely survived. For the sake of her son, Aunt Yuan tearfully begged Commander Gu to forcibly bring me back to the compound. Away from Gu Sinan, in the cold, desolate courtyard, I endured endless mockery and disdain, wasting half my life without a single day of happiness. Opening my eyes again, I saw Gu Sinan carefully holding his beloved, afraid that she would suffer even the slightest grievance. I suddenly realized that a forced marriage is destined to be unhappy. Gu Sinan, in this life, I release you, and let myself go too. In this life, I had just arrived at the family compound. Aunt Yuan didn't hate me yet. And General Gu was also very fond of me. Only Gu Sinan, just like in the previous life, vehemently opposed this marriage. Lan and I are deeply in love, and I absolutely refuse to accept an arranged marriage. You owe Suyi's parents a debt of gratitude. But why should my happiness be sacrificed to repay it for you? General Gu was so angry that he was about to whip him with his belt. I stood in front of Gu Sinan, blocking the belt that was about to strike. "Uncle Gu. I came this time to find a job as a nanny, to earn money and support myself. I have never met brother Gu, nor have I ever thought of marrying him. Let's just cancel the marriage arrangement between our two families." As I spoke, I took out the engagement token given by Aunt Yuan, a crystal-carved wild goose, and handed it to Jiyu Sinan. "Brother Jiyu, I've heard that wild geese are birds of loyalty. Take this crystal goose back and give it to the girl you truly love." Jiyu Sinan didn't expect me to take the initiative to propose ending the engagement. While he felt relieved, he was also somewhat annoyed. He looked at me scrutinizingly. "You really don't want to marry me? You really just want to be a nanny in my house?" I nodded, with the resentment from my past life, and looked straight at him, saying, "Jiyu Sinan, I really don't like you, and I don't want to marry you." Jiyu Sinan's expression instantly changed. He clenched the crystal goose tightly, so angry that he laughed bitterly. "Good, you'd better remember what you said today, and don't have any improper thoughts about me." I settled down at the Jiyu residence. As a small-town nanny, General Jiyu and Aunt Yuan felt extremely guilty and offered to arrange a decent job for me. I shook my head and refused. "I'm just a country girl from the countryside. I don't know how to do anything except washing clothes and cooking. Right now, I don't have a single penny on me." The travel expenses to come find Jiyu Sinan were even scraped together, penny, by the folks back in my hometown. I need to earn money first, so I can pay back the travel expenses the villagers lent me. Seeing my insistence on being a nanny, General Jiyu and Aunt Yuan had no choice but to agree. Stepping into the Jiyu family's kitchen again, my body seemed to develop muscle memory. The sweet and sour pork ribs and winter melon meatball soup I made left General Jiyu and Aunt Yuan utterly astonished. "Suyi, I never expected your cooking skills to be this good." I secretly smiled bitterly. "Of course, it's good. In my previous life, I served your family in this house for 40 years. I know what the family likes to eat better than the nanny does. Commander Jiyu loves sweet and sour pork ribs." So I shamelessly waited at the back door of the state-run restaurant for a month. It took a lot of effort to get the chef to finally agree and teach me this secret recipe. Aunt Yuan loves winter melon meatball soup, and I burned my hands countless times making blisters. Finally, I made a clear, bright soup with tender and delicate meatballs. Jiyu Sinan picked a few of his favorite shredded dried tofu strips and sneered coldly, "Put away your little schemes. Think learning to cook a few dishes your parents like makes you a family-oriented daughter-in-law." General Jiyu slammed the table hard. "Eat if you want, or get out if you don't." Jiyu Sinan threw his chopsticks on the table, grabbed his coat, and walked out. The father and son parted on bad terms once again. I fought back tears, wishing I could bury my head in the bowl. I hated that I had been reborn into the most powerless age, alone and helpless, homeless. Even the letter of introduction issued by the production team for me has already expired. If I don't have the nerve to shamelessly cling to the Jiyu family, I suppose I would become a vagrant and be sent back to my hometown. Right, wait a little longer. Once I've saved enough money, I can leave the Jiyu family, or find another household to work as a nanny. That way, I can get my temporary residence permit sorted out. I want to put down roots in this city. I want to go to school, in this life. I also want to be a person who is useful to society. Under my deliberate avoidance, Jiyu Sinan and I, though living under the same roof, did not see each other for a long time. When he was at work, I cleaned, did laundry, and cooked. His off work, I've already eaten in the kitchen and am hiding in the nanny's room reading a book. Soon, I received my first month's salary. Aunt Yuan gave me $20. I took out $15, sent it back to my hometown, and asked the village head to help me repay the fellow villagers. With the remaining $5, I decided to go to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy some pencils, erasers, and notebooks. Unexpectedly, I ran into Jiyu Sinan and his first love, Jiang Bailan, here. Seeing me following behind them, Jiyu Sinan looked furious and shouted loudly, "Suyi, have some shame, will you? I've told you, I absolutely refuse to accept an arranged marriage like the older generation. Even if you follow me to the ends of the earth, I would never marry a country bumpkin like you." A wave of mocking laughter erupted around us. My face burned with embarrassment, and I couldn't help but explain, "I'm not following you, I'm here to buy pencils." Jiang Bailan reached out and tugged at Jiyu Sinan. Sinan, we've all misunderstood Sister Suyi. Maybe she really is here to buy pencils. Gu Sinan sneered. She's an illiterate who didn't even finish elementary school. What could she possibly need pencils for? Bailan, you're too naive. You don't know what some women are capable of doing just to stay in the city. I looked up, fixed my gaze at Gu Sinan, and mustered the courage to retort, if I really wanted to stay in the city, I wouldn't have broken off the engagement with you. Upon hearing my words, the crowd instantly erupted in an uproar. What? This girl is actually Battalion Commander Gu's fiancée. Then who is that girl next to him, holding Battalion Commander Gu's hand? Can't you tell? She's his mistress Tilda. Jiang Bailan's face turned pale, and she desperately broke free from Gu Sinan's hand, running away in tears. Gu Sinan's face darkened, and he glared at me as if he wanted to devour someone. If anything happens to Bailan, Suyi, I'll take your life. With that, he pushed through the crowd and ran after Jiang Bailan. I glanced coldly at his resolute retreating figure, then I turned and walked into the supply and marketing cooperative to buy the paper, pens, and ink I needed. Back home, I took out my pen and ink, ready to practice calligraphy. Suddenly, the door to the nanny's room was kicked open from the outside. Gu Sinan stormed in with a cold expression, grabbed the ink bottle on the table, and smashed it fiercely on the floor. The flying shards of glass left several bloody scratches on my calf, and the pain brought tears to my eyes. Gu Sinan saw that I was injured, paused for a moment as if he had thought of something, then sneered coldly again. First, you spread rumors and caused trouble outside, ruining Bailan's reputation, and now you're pretending to be pitiful in front of me, Suyi. I really underestimated the tactics of a little nanny like you. I endured the pain and defended myself. I didn't spread rumors, nor did I intend to ruin Miss Jiang's reputation. Gu Sinan didn't listen to my explanation at all. With a cold expression, he grabbed my arm and dragged me outside. Everyone outside is saying that Bailan is the third party who ruined our engagement. Bailan is almost driven to death by all the rumors and gossip. Go. You need to explain to everyone right now that ours was an arranged marriage, and we already called off the engagement long ago. I was dragged to the cultural troupe by Gu Sinan, my legs covered in blood. Jiang Bailan, her eyes red from crying, threw herself into his arms the moment she saw Gu Sinan. Gu Sinan instinctively pushed me away, and I fell backward into a cold embrace. Liang Jikai, I stared blankly at the man holding me. In my past life, because I insisted on marrying Gu Sinan, Jiang Bailan, to get revenge, married Gu Sinan's archrival. That person is the Liang Jikai before me. The Gu and Liang families are of comparable social status. Gu Sinan and Liang Jikai have been at odds since childhood. Later, it was said that after Liang Jikai married Jiang Bailan, he constantly tormented and abused her. Unable to bear the humiliation, Jiang Bailan drowned herself in a river. I have no intention of getting involved in the love and hate affairs of these children from the compound. Standing up, walking into the middle of the crowd, and looking at Gu Sinan's threatening gaze, I loudly explained, I did have a marriage contract with Gu Sinan, but it has been dissolved. Gu Sinan and Jiang Bailan are in a normal romantic relationship. There is no affair involved. I'm not Gu Sinan's fiancée either, just their family's nanny. After saying that, I pushed through the crowd and hurried toward the health center. Gu Sinan's expression softened slightly. He glanced at my bleeding calf, and a hint of guilt unconsciously appeared in his eyes. Suyi, wait, I'll drive you to the health center. Jiang Bailan suddenly let out a cry of surprise and fainted into Gu Sinan's arms. Gu Sinan hesitated for a moment, then scooped Jiang Bailan up in his arms. He turned to me and said, wait here for me. I'll take Bailan back to the dormitory first, then come back to take you to the clinic. After saying this, he hurried away, carrying Jiang Bailan. I stared blankly at his retreating figure for a while, secretly envying Jiang Bailan. Such unwavering favoritism was something I had never experienced in 2 lifetimes. I didn't wait there any longer. Dragging my numb and aching legs, I turned and walked toward the clinic. Suddenly, a pair of large hands wrapped around my waist. I gasped in surprise as I was lifted off the ground by the waist. Liang Jikai's teasing voice sounded in my ear. You're bleeding out, and you're still gritting your teeth and holding on, with such a foul and stubborn temper. No wonder you can't outdo Jiang Bailan, that delicate little flower. Let's go, take my car, I'll drive you to the clinic, just like that. I was carried horizontally by Liang Jikai. From the cultural troupe to the clinic, I went from the health center to the residential compound, seeing my legs covered in bruises. Jiyu Junjong was furious. Aunt Yuan also looked grim, showing her dissatisfaction with Jiang Bailan. Jiyu Xinan couldn't find me at the cultural troops entrance and hurried back home. As soon as I entered the door, General Jiyu kicked me. Su Yi has already agreed to call off the engagement. And you still have to bully her, apologize. Perhaps feeling guilty, Jiyu Xinan walked up to me and whispered an apology. After saying that, he frowned and asked me why I didn't wait for him at the door. I lifted my head and replied coldly with 3 words, "It hurts too much." A trace of guilt appeared on Jiyu Xinan's handsome face, followed by a stream of scolding. "This is also your fault. If you had explained things clearly earlier at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, Bailan wouldn't have suffered such great injustice. In that case, I'll bring Bailan back for dinner tomorrow. Make a few of your signature dishes. Then, apologize to Bailan in person, and we can consider this matter over." I gave a bitter smile and pointed to my bandaged legs. "Sorry, the doctor said my leg injuries are too severe, and I need to rest in bed for a few days. I'm afraid I won't be able to cook for you tomorrow." Jiyu Xinan's face showed embarrassment, and he said with an unnatural expression, "Then let's do it in a few days. Once the injury on your leg has healed, I'll bring Bailan back for a meal." "Not even in a few days," I interrupted his self-talk. Jiyu Xinan's face darkened. "Su Yi, I told you. My breaking off the engagement with you has nothing to do with Bailan. Can you stop targeting her all the time?" I looked up, staring blankly at this man. So, whether in my past life or this one, in Jiyu Xinan's eyes, I have always been such a despicable person, narrow-minded and scheming, always taking advantage of the engagement to bully his beloved white moonlight. I let out a bitter laugh and said to him with feigned ease, "I'm not targeting her. I just want to say that in a few days, I won't be here anymore, probably won't have the chance to cook for you all again." Jiyu Xinan was taken aback for a moment, then suddenly said urgently, "Not here. Where are you going? Your parents are no longer around, so going back to your hometown would be what? Alone and helpless. Waiting to be taken advantage of by ill-intentioned relatives back in my hometown." I shook my head and said word by word, "I'm not going back to my hometown. I've thought it over. Since we've already broken off the engagement, it's not appropriate for me to continue living in your house. I've found a family to work for as a nanny once my leg injury heals. I probably won't be coming to your house again in the future." Perhaps my tone was too resolute. As a trace of hurt even appeared on Jiyu Xinan's face, he said awkwardly, "If you don't want to apologize, forget it. At most, I won't bring Bailan back for dinner. You're unfamiliar with this place. What if you get bullied while working as a nanny for someone else? Maybe it's better to just stay at home. If you're worried about people misunderstanding, I can transfer to the southwest with Bailan." I was startled and instinctively turned to look at Aunt Yuan. Sure enough, upon hearing that her son was willing to transfer to the remote southwest just to avoid me, Aunt Yuan's smile was barely holding on her face. A bitter feeling welled up in her heart. "Jiyu Xinan, in this life, you don't have to deliberately avoid me anymore. I won't come again to ruin your love, or your happy family." At that moment, Liang Jikai suddenly walked in. "Su Yi, your room is ready. I'll carry you there now." Jiyu Xinan looked at him in surprise, then at me, his face turning pale and then red. After a long pause, he suddenly let out a cold laugh. "I was wondering why you suddenly wanted to leave, so you've found someone better to latch onto. Su Yi, I really underestimated you. To stay in the city, you'd even hook up with someone like Liang Jikai." I was taken aback for a moment, and as soon as I realized what he meant, my face flushed bright red. Liang Jikai also came to his senses and rushed forward to hit him. I grabbed the corner of his clothes tightly from behind. "Mr. Liang, let it go. I didn't want to stay at the Jiyu family any longer." Liang Jikai gave Jiyu Xinan a fierce glare. He picked me up horizontally from the bed. Suddenly, my arm was grabbed by Jiu Sinan. Let her go. Jiu Sinan looked at us with anger in his eyes, as if he had been cheated on. Liang Jikai sneered. On what grounds? Jiu Sinan said with a look of anger. On the grounds that we were once engaged. Liang Jikai scoffed. You said it yourself. We were once engaged. But the engagement was called off long ago, wasn't it? Jiu Sinan retorted angrily. Even if the engagement was called off, Su Yi's parents did my family a great favor, and I still have a responsibility toward her. Liang Jikai said sarcastically, what responsibility? I didn't know that an employer has responsibilities towards the nanny at home. Jiu Sinan was immediately speechless. I sighed and decided to make a final farewell to Jiu Sinan. Jiu Sinan, Mr. Liang is right. We have already called off our engagement. I'm just the little country nanny your family hired. You have no responsibility towards me. I won't be coming to your house anymore. You don't have to transfer to such a faraway place like the Southwest just to avoid me. Jiu Sinan, let's just leave it at that. Goodbye. No, it's more like we'll never see each other again. I worked as a nanny at Liang Jikai's home. The Liang family had a simple household. Liang Jikai's father was stationed at the Southern Province Military District, and his mother had accompanied him to take care of him. At home, only Liang Jikai and his grandparents remained. Both Grandpa Liang and Grandma Liang were very easy to get along with, and I quickly adapted to life as a nanny in the Liang household. In the morning, I accompanied Grandma Liang to the grocery store to buy meat and vegetables. In the afternoon, I went fishing with Grandpa Liang. After dinner in the evening, I hid alone in my room to read and practice calligraphy. Liang Jikai happened to notice me practicing calligraphy and let out a scornful laugh. The next day, he brought back a large box of calligraphy masterpieces. I repeatedly expressed my thanks. These masterpieces were not even available for purchase at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Liang Jikai's ears turned bright red, but he feigned composure and waved his hand. You're welcome. These are just scraps the unit was going to throw away. They were meant to be sold as waste paper anyway. I pursed my lips and smiled. The next evening, an extra plate of spare ribs with preserved plums and a plate of sweet and sour pork appeared on the dining table. Grandma Liang chuckled and teased, "Oh my Tilda, why is everything on the table tonight Jikai's favorite?" Blushing, I buried my face in my rice bowl. Liang Jikai stole a glance at me, the tips of his ears slightly flushed. After finishing the meal, I mustered up the courage and called out to Liang Jikai, who was about to go upstairs, "Mr. Liang, I want to sign up for night school. I just don't know where to sign up, and whether they would accept someone like me from out of town." My face flushed with embarrassment, a little nanny from the countryside, overestimating her abilities, wanting to attend night school and take the college entrance exam. Would Liang Jikai laugh at me? After all, in my previous life, I had also mentioned to Jiu Sinan that I wanted to continue studying and take the college entrance exam. At that time, I naively believed that as long as I got into college and became a university student, I would be worthy of Jiu Sinan, who had already become a regiment commander. At the time, Jiu Sinan just glanced at me disdainfully and said coldly, "You're already in your 20s, you don't still want to go to middle school, do you, since you're already married? Just stay at home honestly and take good care of your parents. That's your duty. In this second life, I no longer yearn for elusive love. I want to try and see if I can get into university. Can I reach a height that even Jiu Sinan must look up to?" Liang Jikai agreed to help me inquire about it. Unexpectedly, the next day, he drove me to the night school to register. Suppressing my excitement, I paid the registration fee and collected a pile of books. On the way back, my steps were light, and I couldn't help humming the folk songs from my hometown. Liang Jikai chuckled softly, his peach blossom eyes gazing tenderly. "Just attending a night school, and you're this happy?" I nodded vigorously. "Happy, Mr. Liang, thank you, really, thank you so much." When I went to sign up, I found out that the night school was indeed intended for locals, and a local household registration was required to enroll. To help me get registered, Liang Jikai must have pulled quite a few strings. Liang Jikai smiled. "If you really want to thank me, just call me brother." Blushing, I whispered as softly as an ant, "Brother Liang Tilda, Liang Jikai smiled happily. Suddenly, Jiyu Xinan's trembling voice came from behind. Su Yi, what did you just call him? Hearing the accusatory tone in Jiyu Xinan's voice, Liang Jikai's face darkened. As if struck by a sudden thought, he raised his arm, wrapped it around my shoulder, and said with an affectionate expression, I have a good relationship with little Yi. She calls me brother, what's wrong with that? Jiyu Xinan didn't look at him, but kept staring at me, suppressing his anger as he questioned, Su Yi, with the relationship our two families have had for so many years, you actually call him brother? You've never even called me brother once. I impatiently cut off Jiyu Xinan's words. Battalion Commander Jiyu, I'm grateful that Commander Jiyu and Aunt Yuan took me in back then and even gave me a job, but it was you who said it yourself. I'm just a little nanny your family hired from the countryside. I suppose a nanny isn't qualified to call the master of the house brother, is she? Jiyu Xinan seemed to suddenly recall the scene from our first meeting. His face turned deathly pale. After a dazed moment, he forced a bitter smile and explained, Su Yi, that's not what I meant. I interrupted his feeble explanation once again. Whether it is or not, it doesn't matter anymore, Captain Jiyu. You wouldn't want us to keep in touch and let Miss Jiang misunderstand, would you? I think there's no need for us to continue interacting in the future. If we meet again in the future, let's just act like strangers. Perhaps the words not important wounded Jiyu Xinan's pride. After that day, I didn't see him again for a long time. I only heard by chance that, just like in his previous life, he had submitted a request to be transferred to the Southwestern Front. Jiang Bailan also went with the cultural troupe. In this lifetime, without me coming between them, Jiyu Xinan and Jiang Bailan should quickly achieve a happy ending. Right, in this lifetime, I too have found a goal and direction to strive for. My performance in night school improved rapidly, and half a year later, the night school teacher personally wrote me a letter of recommendation. With the recommendation letter, I skipped a grade and entered the second year of high school. Grandma Liang felt sorry for me, having no parents and nowhere else to go, and insisted that I continue living at her home, even offering to pay me a housekeeper's wage. I declined the wage, only helping Grandma Liang with household chores in the evenings and on weekends, and tending to the small vegetable garden, which I considered as offsetting the rent, upon hearing that I was going to take the college entrance exam. Liang Jikai brought me a large box of reference materials and mimeographed test papers. Looking at the brand new reference books and the test papers that still smelled of printer's ink, I deliberately asked him, are these also scrap paper from your workplace? Liang Jikai roughly ruffled the unruly hair on top of my head. Study hard, if you get in, I'll personally take you to college. During this time, Commander Jiyu and Aunt Yuan also sent over a thick envelope. Inside were 1,000 yuan. Along with some grain and meat ration coupons. I returned it untouched, exactly as it was. In my past life, it was my overestimation of myself that caused them and their only son to be separated by 1,000 miles, unable to reunite for 10 years. In this lifetime, I don't want to have the slightest connection with the Jiyu family anymore. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, it's the day of the college entrance exam. What I didn't expect was that Jiyu Xinan actually took leave and traveled a long distance just to come back and see me off for the exam. However, he still couldn't outdo Liang Jikai. Seeing me with my backpack, I got into Liang Jikai's jeep. In Jiyu Xinan's eyes, there seemed to be a regret and sorrow I couldn't understand. Su Yi, you can do it, I nodded, not knowing what to say, and could only utter dryly, thank you. Liang Jikai insisted on provoking him, deliberately saying loudly, little leaf. It's a good thing you broke off the engagement with this guy back then, otherwise, you'd still be working as a free nanny in his family, with no chance to take the college entrance exam. You really should thank Battalion Commander Jiyu for not marrying you. Jiyu Xinan's face turned pale, and he opened his mouth as if wanting to say something. But in the end, not a single word came out. He could only watch helplessly as his former fiancée got into the passenger seat of his rival's car. After the jeep had driven a short distance, I suddenly heard the sound of an argument coming from behind me. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Jiang Bailan, once elegant and noble, looking like a madwoman, She grabbed Jiyu Sinan's clothes, scratching and clawing, crying and cursing. But that was the story of Jiyu Sinan and Jiang Bailan, long since having nothing to do with me. I finished the last exam with single-minded focus. Liang Jikai came to pick me up with a bouquet of bright sunflowers. On the way, I learned from him that Jiyu Sinan had a promotion opportunity after the last battle. However, Jiang Bailan appeared on the battlefield. In order to rescue Jiang Bailan, 5 soldiers from Jiyu Sinan's battalion sacrificed their lives. At that time, although Jiyu Sinan was not demoted, he received a major disciplinary action, which was announced throughout the entire military. In the next 5 years, unless he risks his life to fight for it, there will be no chance of promotion for him. I asked in surprise, why did Jiang Bailan insist on going to the front line to find him? Liang Jikai sneered, I heard that in the suicide note Jiyu Sinan left behind, a letter he wrote to another woman was discovered, and she made a scene over it. I had to go find Jiyu Sinan and get a clear answer. I never expected it would lead to the deaths of 5 soldiers. What a disaster. I didn't speak. This is the life Jiyu Sinan chose for himself. I can only respect and wish him well. Half a month later, my university admission letter finally arrived at the residential compound. Hearing that I had been admitted to Capital Medical University, Grandpa Liang and Grandma Liang were so delighted that they asked the guard to buy celebratory candies. Then, they took me to deliver the candies to every household in the compound. When we reached the Jiyu family's home, I keenly sensed that Aunt Yuan and Commander Gu's smiles seemed a bit forced. Commander Jiyu heard that I got into Capital Medical University and gave me an imported pen as a gift. Aunt Yuan gave me a red envelope. As I was leaving the Jiyu residence, I ran into Jiyu Sinan and Jiang Bailan. As soon as Jiang Bailan saw me, her expression immediately twisted. Suyi, you've already broken off the engagement with brother Jiyu, how can you still shamelessly cling to him? Don't he think that just because you got into university, you're worthy of brother Jiyu? To be honest, I'm already carrying brother Gu's child. Jiyu Sinan's expression changed, and he harshly shook off Jiang Bailan's hand, nervously looking at me. He said, Suyi, it's not what she said, it was just an accident between us. Jiang Bailan let out a sharp cry, rushed forward, and slapped Jiyu Sinan across the face. Jiyu Sinan, are you even a man? I'm carrying your child. What do you mean by this now, seeing the little Yi sister you've been longing for, now a college student? Do you regret breaking off the engagement with her, want to dump me and get back together with your little Yi sister? I'm telling you, you're dreaming. If you dare abandon me and the child, I'll report you to the military. Jiyu Sinan, annoyed by her fussing, couldn't help but push her hard. Jiang Bailan, don't you drag the innocent into this. You know exactly how that child in your belly came to be. Jiang Bailan was shoved hard by him, tumbling down the stairs. Watching the blood spreading across her skirt, Jiang Bailan let out a piercing scream. My baby, my baby. I heard that Jiang Bailan's baby in her womb, after all, could not be saved. She threatened to report to the police, to have Jiyu Sinan sent to prison. Aunt Yuan pleaded desperately. And General Jiyu tied Jiyu Sinan up and broke a leather belt while beating him. Jiyu Sinan was beaten until there wasn't a patch of good skin left on his body. But he still gritted his teeth and stubbornly refused to agree to marry Jiang Bailan. Finally, Aunt Yuan knelt before Jiyu Sinan, forcing him to agree to marry Jiang Bailan. I don't understand what Jiyu Sinan is resisting. In his previous life, he would rather risk his life on the battlefield and not return home for 10 years, just to be with Jiang Bailan. In this life, I made their love possible, so why is he rejecting it now? Soon, it was time for the university to start. The day the university started happened to be the day Jiyu Sinan and Jiang Bailan got married. I didn't attend, but I asked Grandma Liang to pass on a red envelope on my behalf. To my surprise, 2 days later, I actually saw Jiyu Sinan, unshaven and disheveled, downstairs at the dormitory. He actually ran away from his wedding. Seeing me walk out of the dormitory, Jiyu Sinan rushed toward me without hesitation. Suyi, you've been reborn too, haven't you? A buzzing sound echoed in my mind. Could it be that Jiyu Sinan has also returned? Seeing my look of disbelief, Jiyu Sinan nodded with a bitter smile. Yes, I have also returned, but I came back too late. As if he had thought of something, Jiyu Sinan's eyes lit up with hope again, and he said to me with great excitement, "It's not too late. Suyi, I came back during the wedding. I haven't registered the marriage with Jiang Bailan yet. Come with me, let's go to the southwest together. In this lifetime, let's start over, okay?" I took a step back and raised my left hand toward him. "Sorry, I'm already engaged. In this lifetime, I haven't spent 30 years as a nanny for the Jiyu family. My hands, steeped in the fragrance of books, are fair and slender from good care, on the ring finger of my left hand." An exquisite and dazzling diamond ring stung Jiyu Sinan's eyes. The diamond's cold gleam almost blinded Jiyu Sinan. His eyes were sore and swollen, and he instinctively took 2 steps back. His voice was also flustered and panicked. "How did you get engaged all of a sudden? Aren't you here for college?" A jeep suddenly stopped behind us. Liang Jikai walked over to me carrying 2 lunchboxes. Holding his hand, I said to Jiyu Sinan word by word, "Captain Jiyu, the school doesn't have a rule that says you can't get engaged while in college. On the day Brother Liang came to help me register, he proposed to me. I said yes, we'll get married after graduation." Jiyu Sinan suddenly looked up. His eyes wide with fury as he glared at Liang Jikai and threw a fierce punch at him. Liang Jikai dropped the lunchbox in his hand and swung his fist back in retaliation. The lunchbox fell to the ground, spilling the braised pork inside all over the floor. School security guards rushed over and forcibly separated the two. Looking at the braised pork trodden on the ground, Jiyu Sinan sneered and said, "Liang Jikai, you don't understand Suyi at all. She prefers vegetarian food and hates eating meat the most. If you don't even know her, how can you think you can make her happy?" Liang Jikai laughed heartily. "Jiyu Sinan, it's actually you who doesn't truly understand Suyi. Suyi's favorite dish is braised pork." Jiyu Sinan shook his head desperately. "Impossible, at our home, she never eats meat." Liang Jikai glanced at me with a pained expression and said coldly, "That's because she didn't dare. She feels like she's living under someone else's roof and eating for free at your place, which is already annoying enough, and she's too embarrassed to eat any more of your food, bought meat. But it's okay, Jiyu Sinan, if you don't care about Suyi, I damn well do. Marry me, Suyi, and I'll make sure you have braised pork for the rest of your life." Jiyu Sinan was as if struck by lightning, completely stunned. After that day, Liang Jikai made a call to General Jiyu. General Jiyu personally led a team to capture Jiyu Sinan and bring him back. It was already 3 years later when news of Jiyu Sinan was heard again. This year, I finally graduated from university and decided to come back with Liang Jikai to hold our wedding. The residential compound still looked familiar. However, Commander Jiyu and Aunt Yuan had already moved out of the residential compound. I heard that after Jiyu Sinan and Jiang Bailan got married, Jiang Bailan, unable to endure Jiyu Sinan's emotional coldness, had an affair with a dancer from the cultural troupe. Caught in bed with a lover, in a fit of rage, Jiyu Sinan accidentally beat Jiang Bailan severely. To protect Jiyu Sinan, the Jiyu family elder lost half a lifetime's dignity. Pleading with people everywhere and paying the Jiang family a large sum of money, in the end, Jiyu Sinan was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The day I married Liang Jikai happened to be the day Jiyu Sinan was released from prison. I watched as he, gaunt and holding a bouquet of lilies, appeared before me. I could hardly believe it. This was the same spirited war hero who once commanded the battlefield with such vigor in our past life. He saw me standing beside Liang Jikai, wearing a pure white wedding dress, my face beaming with joy. Jiyu Sinan smiled bitterly, handing the bouquet of flowers to me. I instinctively took 2 steps back. Jiyu Sinan looked at me with hurt in his eyes. "Xiaoye, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to see you in your wedding dress. How you look." I vaguely recall, in my past life, when I married Jiyu Sinan, Aunt Yuan had originally prepared a wedding dress for me. But because Jiang Bailan cried and said she had always dreamed of wearing a wedding dress and standing side by side with Jiyu Sinan then gave that custom-made wedding dress to Jiang Bailan. Later, I showed up at the wedding in a white dress I had hastily borrowed. I endured endless ridicule and humiliation. Fortunately, in this life, I finally met the right person and wore a wedding dress that belonged only to me. Jiu Xinun still insisted on giving me that bouquet of lilies, but Liang Jikai snatched it away and threw it far off. Jiu Xinun looked at him angrily. Liang Jikai sneered, Jiu Xinun, you keep saying you like Suyi, but you don't even know that Suyi is allergic to lily pollen. Isn't he it Jiang Bailan who truly likes lilies? Jiu Xinun was deeply shaken, his lips trembling as he looked at me, murmuring, yes, I'm sorry, Suyi, I didn't know. Indeed, only those who truly love you would care about your every move. I know what you like and what you dislike. As for Jiu Xinun, his feelings toward me are merely reluctance, not love. After coming to this realization, I smiled gently and comforted him. It's okay, we were never close to begin with. It's only natural that you didn't know I'm allergic to lily pollen. The banquet is about to start, let's go in and take a seat. I greeted Jiu Xinun with the same practiced ease as I did with the other guests. The unfamiliar and distant attitude stung Jiu Xinun's eyes, turning them red. His eyes trembled slightly, his fists clenched tightly, as if he was plunged into deep regret and agony. Yet I had no time to care about his sorrows or joys. My own wedding was about to begin. The moment I turned to leave, I seemed to hear a whisper from behind, Suyi, actually, back then, the salute sounded. And I could no longer make out the words Jiu Xinun had yet to finish, but it doesn't matter anymore. In this life, he walked the path he wanted to take, and I, too, should go and walk the path that belongs to me. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.